Everybody, and welcome to a Just Enough Heshy show. It was a long week, and again, we have a lot to talk about. Of course, in New York City and the United States, it just doesn't end to keep us interesting. And there's so much to keep us interesting, but still, we're going to talk about a few of our local subjects, and maybe we'll go nationwide or worldwide. But I want to introduce my co-host, Tom. Tom, how are you?
Never a dull moment, Heshy. Happy Wednesday. Good evening to everybody out there, especially to all the people on Instagram and YouTube. And it's going to be a lot
of Facebook. You forgot Facebook.
Facebook, too.
And we have to welcome all the people from our radio.
620 WSNR. Can never forget about them. We've got 1640 WJPR and also 93.5 WVIP. And the call-in number is 646-974-1580, Heshy.
I hope he posted on the video. 646
974-1580.
15. Wow, that's good. You see how you working with me? This is the way we're supposed to be a team.
We're like yin and yang.
But in New York City, we don't have that team.
Wow.
And you know what, guys?
Don't push your luck.
You know what? I was sitting with somebody yesterday at the Pecan. I went to a Pecan event. It's called Property Convention for landlords and different exhibitors who help landlords and sell stuff. You know, there were people who do violations, court cases, lawyers, people who do special tax stuff, and it costed $99. I wanted to try it again and for free as part of the press and maybe guess, but so somebody bought me
the press pass didn't work.
So somebody bought me a ticket and said, "Okay, Heshy, I'm going to make you come with me, and you're going to give me a ride." And I went in. It was a lawyer, and when I got there, I was more famous than everybody else.
I'm sure.
Everybody came over.
Now, how many autographs did you sign yesterday?
I'm telling you, I took maybe easy 100 pictures. 100 pictures. And they promised us a nice lunch. They promised us a dinner. So when I started to eat their lunch, it was just terrible. It was just a terrible, terrible lunch. And I heard after I left that it was a great 5-star dinner. So I had to come back because I had work to do. You know, I do my volunteering and I have other stuff to take care of. So I couldn't spend the whole day. So one of the things was they had this where they have the audience sit outside and they have some kind of like a town hall, but it's not a real town hall. And they had
like somebody at a podium.
Not a podium, but they were sitting on couches and that little time they had John what's his name again?
John Catsimatidis.
From WABC's owner and a billionaire sitting there in the middle like a king. And then we had the ex-governor, what's his name?
David Patterson, who was one time called the Love Gov here.
Right. So I was joking with him and he said, "Oh, I resigned already, whatever." And these were the two famous people, and they didn't let people in the VIP room, but for some reason they let me in, though they put me on as the VIP.
You're just enough Heshy, that's why.
Right, just enough. So I get in there and I start talking to him, and he gave me his book. He says, "Here's my book. I'm signing it for you." I didn't even want it, but okay, I took it. You know what I mean? Why not? It was free. I paid $99. Somebody else did. So I'm sitting there, and then in comes Assemblyman Simcha Eichenstein from my neighborhood.
Yes, right here in the
And this took place in Jersey. So I said, "What are you doing here?" "Well, I'm the moderator for this event." I said, "Okay," because there was many different little speeches and events going on. I said, "What could you be part of the construction and politics of landlord and tenants? You don't get involved with that, and I know you have no knowledge of this." He says, "I'm the moderator," and they gave him a bunch of cards, and he started talking, and I'm sitting in the front row. And I have about maybe 100 landlords behind me, and I'm the most qualified in that room. I helped half of them. Anyways, he moderates. He talks about 421 tax discounts.
421A.
421A. And they're not talking about landlords and evictions and for tenants' rights. They're not talking about violations and the city politics and the raising of taxes. They just talk about stupid stuff. And then he says, "Will people build in?" And Mr. What's his name again?
Catsimatidis,
I'm sorry. "I built a project on Coney Island. Coney Island, the thing costed me $400 million, and now it's going to cost me a building," which I know he lost money building in. And he took money from his investors, but that's okay. So here's what my problem is they go around and talk about nothing. Finally, it comes time for the questions. They left 5 minutes because Mr. The Assemblyman Eichenstein saw that I wanted to ask a question, and everybody was waiting for me. He didn't ask me. He pointed to somebody in the audience.
So he didn't want you to ask a question.
Right. So he set up it's a preset question because the guy starts talking about NYCHA, something that had nothing to do with us. And these guys don't even know how to answer the question. I mean, the governor and him kept saying, let's get a new city council, and talking and giving answers like you like
platitudes.
Right, it was just foolish. So I get up and I start screaming already with 1 minute to go. And Eichenstein got angry. Oh, they didn't want to let you talk. I let you speak. I said, what did you let me speak with? 1 minute to go to ask a question. And I made my pitch. He says, oh, you tried to tell us how we didn't open the parks. And I said, yes, I'm trying to tell you that you politicians are idiots and you do nothing. You do nothing, you sit there and you just politic us. And I said, Simcha, you have no right to even be here to moderate this. You have no knowledge with the building department, no knowledge. You're telling me taxes get raised. You have no control of anything. What are you saying?
Well, he's in the majority, though. I thought he was in the majority of the state assembly. He should be able to do something.
And he got angry with me afterwards. And I said, listen, I'm not apologizing. He says, well, it's not right what you do. I thought we're friends. I said, we're friends. But if you act foolish, and here's my point. This meeting was supposed to be for property managers. And the people, the higher ups, actually told him we don't want Heshy to speak or ask a question. These guys are in it. It's a setup. That pecan, first of all, the lunch was crap, but that pecan was a fake show. I mean, yes, they did show some exhibits and a lot of people paid to be there, but I just want you to know, these are guys are also, they wanted to get money from the city to try to calm landlords and tenants and exhibitors down and say, look, this is what we're going to do for you. Just shut up and let it go. I was at the DOB today, Department of Buildings, before I start with my joke and quote. So I have a guy who got a vacate order for his third level. Mm-hmm. And you're talking, they made us file the whole building again with the synagogue, and we went through a 2-year process. This guy was working 10 years. We went through the process, we got the plans, we did the inspections, we passed every inspection. We even passed sign-off inspections. He had a vacate on the building from 30 years ago. We passed vacate inspection. We asked him to lift the vacate. Sorry, we can't lift it till you sign off the paperwork. We said we submitted, but it takes you 3 months. But to put a stop work order on vacate order, it takes 1 minute. Well, we have to send it to the chief, then to the commissioner. And I'm telling you, the guy has to get a mortgage. The guy has to refinance. We can't get rid of the last violation without you. Well, too bad. And finally, after fighting with them, they finally accepted our paperwork today. He says, well, go speak to the chief of
buildings?
Not buildings. He's the commissioner. The commissioner says, go speak to enforcement. I went to enforcement. I said, the commissioner told me to talk to you, that he spoke to you, that you're holding it up. He says, the commissioner never spoke to me. What a nice guy. They lied. They push you around so you can get another fine. And then I said to him, why is he doing this? He said, well, we're changing the rules now to make it more harder for the landlords to give out more fines. I said, but that's not fair. Who's overseeing you? We don't get oversight. There's nobody watching us. We're allowed to do what we want. We can change the rules and laws and regulations. This is what the chief of enforcement in Manhattan told me.
But I think, Heshy, this is all the problem. Anytime you ever think about government, and government always, doesn't matter if it's buildings.
But it's wrong. But what you're doing to the people,
it is wrong. But it happens. It doesn't matter the agency. Doesn't matter when. Where,
I have another guy who wants to pull a permit. He has no fine on him. But some stupid lady came to the house and said, "Oh, he was working illegally." And we have videos. She's lying, and we showed it to the commissioner. He says, "Go to court." I said, but court is 3 months away. I said, what should we do now? He says, pay the fine and order a refund. I said, but a refund takes a year. He says, then sue us. I said, but you have 20 different lawyers. And yeah, we can sue you, but you know what? We don't have the time.
You lost, basically. That's what it comes down to.
Right, you lost. We did. And that was my point. My point is, you have so much red tape, and this is one department. Forget HPD, forget DOT and your Department of Finance, forget Section 8. I'm helping people now with collecting rents. Some people can't pay their rent, so there's something called the New York City Emergency Rental Program, and they have over $11 billion to give out to the tenants. Do you know how long it takes for you to get approved? Almost 9 months.
I was about to say almost a year.
Almost a year. And then when you get approved, you haven't paid the New Year rent or whatever it is, and then
interest collects on that, right?
Forget that. And then when they finally get you approved, till you get the money is another 3 months. I mean, the red tape in the city, which I can do in a day, but if we don't pay our fine immediately, we get paid interest on it, and it gets just worse and worse. And and here's the worst part: when you're trying to evict somebody, I have a guy that the city teaches you how not to pay rent. They actually have courses, the legal aid people, how not to pay rent. I have a guy who went and did not rent an apartment. Can't kick him out. He figured out how to pay rent. He makes false complaints to the 311. They come. 3 won't come, they have to come. They come and they see that it's not mitigated, or they write something down, anything. He goes to court. He postpones it because he needs a lawyer. Why didn't you bring a lawyer with you? Then he says, I didn't get a legal aid lawyer. Legal aid says, well, he's not qualified. Then when he gets qualified, he says, well, I don't want the legal aid, because then he goes to trial. So he switches lawyers in the middle. He gets a 45-day postponement, another 45-day postponement, 3-month postponement. Then he goes into default. Default is allowed to open up if he has some kind of health issues. A year later, there's still no trial date. And he hasn't paid rent, and he's saying, well, why should I pay rent?
It's like the Energizer Bunny. It just goes going and going and going and going.
The court system is terrible in this city. And then these judges, if they learn to postpone and torture you and to make you collect more fines and penalties, what happens? They get promoted to the Supreme Court. Wow, that's the game here, guys.
And who controls that? It's the parties.
It's
the
parties, and then
the
people in the city council. They can stop it, but they don't want to because they need the money. And here's why you need the money. Heshy, what are you talking about? They need the money. Do you know how much money we're spending on the migrants? $4 billion. But tell me what just happened. You just told me
it's going to $12 billion.
It went from $4 billion this year that we're spending on the migrants. We're going to get to it and talk about $12 billion. Anyways. I want to just tell you my quote of the day, and here's my quote. Because, I posted a video today. Did you see my video?
Yes, I did.
There's a video of a guy going into a 7-Eleven for the 3rd time, robbing the store. He's not once, not the 3rd time. And you know what he did? He brings in a big garbage can. Not a little one, the ones you have outside in the street. Yep. And he starts throwing stuff off the shelf, cigarettes. He just empties it, and the people can't do anything about it. The clerks can't do anything. So he's pushing the garbage can. He's ready to leave. And all of a sudden, one of the clerks starts fighting with him and jumps him and pulls the garbage can down and pulls him on the floor. The other clerk sees them fighting. He brings a stick and starts hitting the guy who's robbing the store for the 3rd time. So what happened was he hit him 12 times or 20 times, whatever, with the stick. Let me tell you, when the cops came, they are now looking over the video to see if the guy robbing the store deserves to be arrested for robbing the store because he was assaulted. Because he's assaulted, we don't have
cashless bail. If he was arrested anyway, he'd be out the next day anyway.
And now they're pressing charges, maybe against the clerks for assaulting them in his own store while they're robbing.
Well, that's like the case we spoke about a few weeks ago with the security guard in CVS with the homeless guys.
But forget about killing and murdering or defending yourself. I understand if somebody wants to kill you and you kill him, you have to go to jail because I don't know why. But if you want to defend yourself on a robbery, you have to turn over your money and do nothing. That is the rule in New York City. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen, from Instagram, Facebook, and all my radio listeners. Give up, because what did I say? The collapse of New York City. I mean, you're talking, there's 2,500 migrants coming in a day.
Yes.
So now, and let me tell you something, if you do anything illegal, like you build a sukkah and keep it up more than a week, you got to work without a permit. If your sign has electrical light bulbs on it and you didn't file electrical permit, but you filed a sign permit, because people don't know you have to file 19 different permits, you get a violation, $6,000 penalty. Now, the city of New York is building this homeless temporary housing in our neighborhoods and in parks.
McCarran Park in Williamsburg?
Right, McCarran Park in Williamsburg, where people and children live. They're building it over here too by that airfield. Yes. And they're going to be putting them in your neighborhoods. No permits, no nothing. The structure doesn't have to look over, not even plans. They're just putting together these temporary houses.
And there's no end in sight.
No end in sight. But they could do it and we can't. They're giving them work visas when people come to this country and they go through the procedure, but they can't get their green card. So till they get it, they can't even work. But these migrants get their work visa in 2 days when they come in here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, New York City. Thank you, Mr. Biden.
And anyways, City Council.
This is what I want to talk to. And thanks to City Council.
Our current councilman
and
as
I'm
well.
trying to get in there, and you don't want to let me in. Everybody's telling me, "Oh, Heshy, we want you," but they're making fun of me. I had a guy, a big rabbi that came to me for help a couple years ago, and I helped the synagogues and mosques and whatever. And when I went to collect signatures in front of the synagogue, all the people who went into the synagogue, and there's a few hundred, they made fun of me. "Oh, you're going to be the president, the mayor. We don't sign. I don't want to put my name on it. I'm not registered. I am registered." Making me stories. By the end of the 2 hours, I got 20 signatures. You understand? I got 20 signatures. And I was very depressed. I said, this is a place that I helped open up and took care of. And anyways, the rabbi calls me again now. And the rabbi says, can I help? I need some help from you. We're out $100,000. We went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I said, if you went somewhere else, go back there. No, Heshy, you're the only one to solve the problem. I said, you didn't give me the business. You went somewhere else. You spent 10 times the amount of money you would have spent by me. And you want my help. I said, you wouldn't even. He says, why didn't you come to me? I said, I stood outside for 2 hours. Everybody saw me. You know what I'm doing, and you're make fun of me. And I said, I even want to speak to your crowd, on the Sabbath. Oh, we don't do that. I said, then what do you want from me? And like a fool and loser, I am helping them. But my point is that you don't want to help. Or do you want to help? Are you going to come out election day? And it's just not for me. Even Katz, what's his name again?
Katzmatidis.
He said yesterday, we have 37 people running for city council to change them. And now he wants to change term limits. I agree there should be term limits, because when you see that they're an idiot, you should not let them get elected again, even if they're allowed to get elected. And even if they're qualified, it's for them time to change and teach the younger generation, because they're not going to be around long. Anyways, this is for my law enforcement friends. Here's your quote. It's about time law enforcement got as organized crime. Okay?
That's a good one.
Okay? It's about time, guys. You're not organized. And anyways, here's it. There are many qualities that make a great leader. But having strong beliefs, being able to stick with them through popular and unpopular times, is the most important characteristic of a great leader. I'm not saying I'm a great leader, but I'm better than them, and I stick to my characteristics and my abilities, and I stick to my my scruples, and I'm not going to bend for them. Even at the pecan thing, they knew I came there to defend my people, and all the landlords came over to me afterwards. We don't understand why they didn't let you talk. You should have been the main speaker there. Anyways, here's my joke. Are you ready? I'm ready. Practice this joke.
All right, let's go for it.
This is a joke that just happened. We babysit our grandchildren on Fridays, and Linda hasn't been feeling well, so I've been doing a lot of the cooking, and I've been learning to bake. I swear to you, I did this morning. I made for Linda cinnamon buns. I couldn't believe they came out great. Even Linda said they were pretty good and sticky. I did a great job. So this Friday, when I picked up my 4-year-old and 2-year-old granddaughter, I started to bake cookies. I really did. I wanted to practice. And as I was putting a new batch of cookies in the oven, I took out a batch of cookies and I put it on the table, and little Mira came over and she says, and I saw her looking at him, and I said, "Are you trying to take a cookie?" I asked her, and she says, "I'm trying not to." That was good.
That was funny.
And she came back with a great answer. Well, I thought that was funny. And Linda was laughing as well, because she was sitting right there.
So what kind of cookies did you make?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Well, that's why they were kind of fighting the temptation.
I'm starting to bake, cook, lasagna. My fried chicken keeps getting better by the day. And even my son, that's a very picky eater, the married one, you know what I mean?
Yes, you know him very well.
Even says, not bad. But the truth of the matter is, he's trying to, bribe me with love, you know what I mean? This way, we give a little extra gift to the baby. He wants me to babysit more. Anyways, I want to ask you a question. By the way, I want to give a shout out to my friend Sergeant Peter. Shout out to Ellie, and of course my granddaughters Mira Nava, Layla Tamar, and Yeshua.
My favorite part of the show is Mira Nava, Bubba. You always say that Mira Nava name. I love when you say that Mira Nava name.
I used to be hard to say the name for me. But
I remember from a few years back, it was tough.
Yeah. But now me and her have a good time in the car, and she's very good with me, and she even helps me sometimes. Guys, we have a problem. I mean, like Tom said, our budget went from $90 billion, I've been complaining to you, to $111 billion. And $4 billion of that is for the migrants. Now today we find out that we're going to go from $4 billion to $12 billion. That means another $8 billion. We're going to be at $119 billion, about $20 billion over. I can't feed my children. You're raising my taxes. You're giving me more parking tickets. You're giving me more driving tickets. You're now taking away, they're taking away Airbnb.
I heard about that.
I mean, I understand every state can have it. You are illegally putting and housing the people. You want us to take the migrants into our houses like an Airbnb, but you won't let us give it out to a normal Airbnb.
Well, it's funny you said that, because Adams had said, I believe it was yesterday, that every New Yorker needs to do more to help this situation with the migrants. Well, Mr. Mayor, what do you exactly want us to do? Maybe it is coming to the point, Heshy, that these migrants are coming to our homes. I mean, we spoke several weeks back about, people are getting, $60 a day, whatever it was. But it's coming to the point that the mayor physically said,
we have to take them in. But my point is when I get, and they're slobs, and they're dirty, and they could be diseased. You're giving them masks. They're not vaccinated. That we know for sure. Okay, and they're not workers. And once you get them in, and the city stops paying, after a while they're going to stop paying.
And you were there at the Roosevelt Hotel. We spoke about it with Diane Sayre.
But the point is you're not even doing it, and you're building temporary housing. You just like they promised to take care of Rikers. You know about Rikers?
Yes.
Now Rikers is just lost completely. The people in Rikers are begging the federal government to take over. That's how bad it is. People are being shot shot, killed, stabbed. It's like if you ever watch those movies of like
Escape from Alcatraz.
No, Escape from New York.
Okay, close enough.
Where the whole city of New York became
Well,
like
the old Charles Bronson Death Wish movies. Remember
right.
Death Wish in New York?
It's just there. It's the wild, wild west. There are people, and there's no control, and there's no taking care of the mentally ill there, and they're housing them like animals. And New York City is just laughing, and they're making more, and they're piling up the court cases. So there are more prisoners that sit there forever on stupidity. They get lost, who don't know their way out, and the people who know the tricks get out on the cashless bail.
And meanwhile, the mayor is whining and dining across the city. Right. He's smiling,
laughing, going to dinners, going to events, passing around billions of dollars. I don't know, my friend. I don't know what to tell you. And then look at this. With all the troubles in the world, we have to indict Mr. Trump, our president, for how many days? The 9th or 10th time? I'm not sure.
I've lost count, Heshy. I've lost count.
It's the 3rd time.
Stay tuned for more.
I don't understand you guys. I mean, usually you get one guy, you put all the charges on him, but you guys are playing it. And I was watching this news guy, a lady news person, talking to his counsel and said, listen, we want a speedy trial. He says, 1 minute, the government had 3 years to prepare against Donald Trump. You're giving him 90 days to come back and fight. You didn't even give him the evidence and the discovery. So we want time. Oh, we have to do it before he becomes president. Why? Why does he has a job to do right now. He's running for presidency. Don't try to interrupt it. That's what it's...
Because you answered your own question, because they want to stop him from running. But meanwhile, look at this city. Look at everything that's going on, whether it's people like Alvin Bragg, whether it's all the Democrats.
Gavin Newsom, they're just putting us in our places, locking us up, having 2-year-olds. We only lost the mask mandate for 2 years old last year.
And you brought up COVID, Heshy, and right. It looks like they're starting again. They're starting it. COVID-19.
I was just reading this. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Do you know that the hospitals are reporting that COVID is on the rise again? It's not true. I'm in the hospital every day. I'm visiting people. It's not true. I don't know.
I'm going to tell you why, Heshy, because the elections aren't too far away.
So this way we can lock you up.
Mail-in voting.
Mail-in voting.
Permanent mail-in voting.
Just like my election. I won
the election day vote, but we lost on absentee ballots from people that we didn't even know had an absentee ballot.
Right. And they're suing another county, but I can't sue because I have to get affidavits of knowing which people got false affidavits and false voting. We don't even know which affidavits are.
Actually, you'd be the Republican candidate right now. It's just the election day vote. You would be the Republican candidate.
Right. So I'm ready for the final day. You know that.
Absolutely. HeshyTischler.com, 53 18th 16th Avenue. Come on down.
It's called the Borough Park Flatbush Party Line. And yes, I'm running against only one guy. He has the other 3 lines. And even though Ted Gora, the Republican... Ted Gora, he's Republican chairman, what a dumbbell. He knows that he has nobody there. He knows that Kalman Yeager is going to resign his seat next year to run for assembly because he's stuck with term limits. If he doesn't, now the reason if he doesn't run next year, then he'll have to wait 3 years to get a new political seat. So if he runs next year for the assembly seat, which they're giving him openly, they gave him the district leader, even it's not his district. They gave him the seat without an election. Now he's going to get the assembly seat since Helen Weinstein, lesbian, gay.
Helen Weinstein has been there for a long time.
30 years, nobody ever runs against her, so they're going to give him this seat.
She's been there longer than I've been alive.
So he's right. So he's going to get that seat without any election. So this way, he's going to have to resign. There'll be a special election. If he's going to do that, why is he running? Why is he taking $184,000 from the city to run and waste everybody's money and time? This is politics. And he's going to do nothing this year. He's going to be a lame duck guy sitting there do nothing. And you guys are going to come out and vote for who? I don't know.
Remember, though, it's a low turnout election. Anything can happen, Heshy. That's why November 7th, it's not that far away. You come on down to HeshyTischler.com, 53 18th 16th Avenue. Get in touch.
Come down. Come help us volunteer. This is not a game. I'm very serious.
You're on the ballot this time. Remember, it's not a writing campaign. Right. You are still on that ballot.
People were telling me, Heshy, why do you need to run for politics? What are you doing this? You're in good shape. You have money. I said, yeah. I can take care of myself. I can take care of the people on the block, but the people who really need my expertise, and I am an expert, like yesterday at the Pecan. I was the only professional that worked with half those landlords, knows the deal, and you have a guy moderating who has no idea even how to read his card. And I like the Assemblyman Achenstein. You're asking Cassimatidis questions that have nothing to do with what does he care about the 421k? And then you brought in the governor again, David Patterson. I like David Patterson, very nice. I gave him my card. I hope we get him on the show.
We'd love to have him.
No knowledge on real estate, landlords. Anything. Yeah, he was part of the tax raise hikes, you know what I mean?
But you know, Heshy, that's the problem with most of our politicians. If you took a step back, right, leave aside your district or anybody else, the average politician that represents us, I don't care if it's New York or across the country, they don't know as much as their constituents would actually think. And I think that's really what it comes down to is the people that represent you do not know as much. So they're the people that are in charge to fix these problems. And that's why, like New York City, where we are, we have the problems we have, whether it's the fiscal crisis, whether it's the migrants, whether it's the homeless, all mental health, all these schools.
Forget the homeless. Listen, guys, we're lost. We actually have, you know how many deaths we had this week in the hospital? 5. I mean, in one day, I had 5. We just don't know what we're doing, and it wasn't due to COVID. 2 of them were homeless. One was a mental suicide. Okay.
I think last week we spoke about a couple that you knew. I think last week's show.
Right. It just we don't care. We're understaffed. Why? Because we're spending money on the Department of Buildings while people are sitting behind the counter, telling them go to that window, go to that window, and people tell me, Heshy, why don't you just mail in the applications? Because if you don't walk it in, that's why I'm so good at what I do. I go from window to window. I go from commissioner to commissioner. I set up meetings. You have to sometimes, some people think you can just call the government agency and leave a message. They'll never call you back. I'm a pain in the neck. I call them. I go to the meetings.
Well, you're just enough Heshy.
Yeah,
that's why.
And that's why we're very successful what to do. And still, they give us problems and heartaches and torture. And my job, you know, I want to tell you a sad story, and you're not going to like it. Right. I'm helping a family, a lady whose daughter was abused by her husband. And I'm not talking abused, beaten, tortured. She wrote an email that my husband's going to kill me. I swear to you. It's a fact in the Jewish community. Mm-hmm. He's going to kill me and blah, blah, blah. And she ran away from him already for a few months. And she took her little baby with her, a 3-year-old kid. And she moved in with her mother. And her mother is a babysitter for the community. She has like a little daycare center. She takes care of like between 12 and 15 kids from the ages of 1 to 4. And she's great. Feeds them, takes care of them, loves them. She's religious, wonderful person, but she's not one of us. She's like a Middle Eastern woman. And the other family was Hasidic. But they married, whatever. And when her daughter died, and she was taking care of the granddaughter, so she took care of the granddaughter. When they were sitting shiva, that's a time of mourning, the husband snuck into the house, the ex-husband snuck in and kidnapped the child.
Unbelievable.
They called the police, they got the baby back, and he quickly kidnapped the baby again somehow. And after he kidnapped the child, he quickly took it to his brother's sister and hid the child over there. A Hasidic family, completely different.
Terrible.
They're both religious Jews, but they you have the Baptist and the you know what I mean? So it was like
Protestants, Catholics.
But you still serve, you still act
Orthodox,
the religion, right? But they were both Orthodox, but they have different ways of observing God. Sure. The Hasidic people saying, well, we don't want the grandparents to come visit anymore, even though they have nothing to do with it. Somehow the father signed some papers and they illegally adopted this child, even though the blood relatives didn't do it. They're in court already a year with about $50,000 spent. All of a sudden, the judge got promoted, threw all the paperwork out, is now postponing it to get a new court date in a new county.
Another $50,000 being spent.
Right. Forget that we need investigators. And it just goes on and on. The court systems are terrible, and this lady is crying. And finally, the judge gave us a mandatory once-a-month visit. And these new adopted parents say, well, she watches television, and we're too stressed when the kid comes home after the grandmother. You have to work with the parents. I worked with parents when we brought in kids. We made sure that everybody...
You got 21 foster children. You know better than anybody.
And I love kids. I play baseball with them, with hundreds of kids. I go to the youth center, speaking to them, grown ones, little ones, friends' kids come over to me all the time. But these guys are and the court system is lost. And again, a whole new system, like the election lawyers, you have the family court lawyers. They're not really lawyers. They just pick this matter and they know how to con you and they claim they know what they're doing. And I'm looking over the paperwork And I see the lawyer doesn't do anything.
It's all an insider trading game.
And he didn't file the paperwork correctly. And then I have another lawyer who's a wonderful lady. She's helping the main lawyer. And she's not even getting paid. She's just helping the family. And we're going to try, and I'm trying to make some kind of a deal. You know, even though the grandmother doesn't want to make a deal, I'm going to make a deal that at least we, you know, till the girl gets old enough to make her own decision. But at least be able to make a deal that she gets to see more, even though the grandmother wants him full time. And now the foster parents who want them, you know, don't want the grandmother involved. I'm going to try to make this go away like I usually do.
This sounds really complicated.
But this is New York City and doesn't happen in other towns in other states besides California with those idiots and the lesbians.
Well,
and the gays.
California, but yeah, but that's the problem here in New York. And unless we change the people that represent us, nothing is going to get done, Heshy.
Right.
Nothing's going to get done.
I mean, you don't allow us to create events on the street or give us permits. To get a permit to do a street event could take you forever. If you want to rent a park, you have to, you know, you want to play your own game, you have to try to request a permit a year in advance.
And then you have to get a petition signed from people in the area.
Correct.
You have to get
Now, you have these professionals who go out and do it for you that you have to pay a lot of money to. So they go and they get permits on these parks, not in their neighborhoods. So the local kids in my neighborhood can't use the park on particular days. It goes to leagues and stuff. Go play in your neighborhood. You don't play in my neighborhood. So my kids can't use it. They're complaining and hollering about it. And the local community and the community board that's getting paid off. The local police are giving permits to people not in our community. And my children can't play in the park.
That goes back again to what I've been saying.
But when I was playing baseball in the park, I didn't let those leagues do it. They kept fighting with me. I said, I don't care you have a permit. Go call the police. And at the end, they saw that I had the power. So my particular park, I was able to get half a field, you know, and play.
Half's better than none, Hesh.
I know,
Half's
I
better
know.
than none.
At least I got my kids to play on a Friday when they got to school. Because our kids are in school 12 hours.
It's a hard day,
you know,
listen.
right. And you guys cannot steal our parks. But this is New York City. Red tape, playing, money games. We have no representation that when we call one of our councilmen, you know, we have, again, I was complaining about, you know, all the public schools, they have these schoolyards.
Yes.
And it's not part of the building. It's a schoolyard. It's really a parking lot. So now they make it into parking lots. Now they're making it into some kind of parks that the community helps. They won't let our local children in our community. Oh, I'm getting some kind of a text. I don't know what it says. When is he going to address what? I don't know what.
Well, while you do that, Heshy, I'd like to give a plug to myself. So I want to say hi to everybody. Say hello to my friend Anthony Finkel who's out there listening. I want to say to everybody else out there. And if you're on Instagram, give me a follow at the Sports Report 2021. Heshy's trying to figure out here what the text message is. But everything out there for more of this, you go to HeshyTischler.com. And Heshy, you're okay there? So you got
He's writing me a note. That's what it's supposed to be. You know how
our producer, I'll tell you, he's doing something right now, Heshy. I don't know.
And it seems like that we're not blocking out. You know, last week we lost a couple of minutes on the
first. I listened to the show. The first 2 minutes.
I hope he didn't mess up again this week. Otherwise, I'm going to take him with my belt. And
you know, he's actually looking at you right now. I know our audience can't see that, especially the WSNR listeners, but he's actually looking at it. So, Heshy, you might want to be careful.
Well, at least I made him laugh.
But you got to be careful with the producer because he could cut our mics off permanently. Then
and he does. You know, sometimes when I talk bad about my competitor, he shuts off the mic.
Well, I mean, obviously, we know that the competitor is listening out there, so he's doing it for us.
You know that the Twitter people are listening. So I want to put Lenny on the phone.
I would say a 5-minute rule on that. Though.
Right. And we're going to talk about that soon with Lenny about the collapse of New York. Because Lenny is damn pissed. And you know he's an ex-police officer.
Yes, Lenny's always pissed.
And the problem with Lenny is he's not even so upset about the migrants. He's upset that the crime is going to range and nobody stops it. Right there in front of the Roosevelt Hotel.
You were there. Diane was there.
But right, Diane was there too. And what I'm seeing is I heard complaints when I was talking to private people that there are assaults, there are beatings, there's even rapes. And
well, it's like you talked about a couple weeks ago on the show about these homeless shelters, how the homeless themselves don't want to go in there. So the city now, who with Adams and his bureaucrats want to build all these shelters and these makeshift pop-up places, the people themselves don't want to be there. So what you're doing is you're bringing into these areas these things that nobody wants altogether. So it's like you've talked about bringing an alternative solution to these problems.
And they don't want to hear it.
But our current city council, most of these council members aren't doing anything about it.
Because the money goes to certain big places. You know, I had a big landlord, a very big landlord. He's very rich, and they say he does a lot of good. But I've seen the way he's bought properties and done some business. I'm not happy the way they do business. I don't like when you screw the little guy. When you're at sometimes they go to a closing and you make a deal. Me and you, we have a deal in place. Sure. And the deal is fair. You You stick to the deal. But when you get there, there's a little trick I'm going to teach a lot of you, which I'm very upset to teach you. When you're at a closing, remember there's $1 million or $2 million or $5 million on the table or $200,000, and the person who's selling it really went through the whole hoops and with lawyers and fees and all that and certified checks. He's already out 5 or 10,000 plus is ready to go, and he's ready to move to the new building. What you could do at a closing is saying, listen, I have an option out because this is not fixed, or you didn't drop off the paperwork correctly, and if you don't close today without paperwork denied, I want you to take off 20,000 or 30 from the price. And this is called blackmail. Or you didn't move quick enough, or you're a week late, or stupid stuff like that. You're able to at a closing blackmail the seller. And this is what's very, very bad.
Reminds me of in the movies, greed is good.
Right, greed is good. And so I hate when I make a deal, I make a deal. That's why I get upset with the nursing homes, and one of my relatives upset with me. I said, you're making billions and millions of dollars. They're really super rich. You should see their mansions. I live in 1,300 square feet. These guys live in 10,000.
And you're basically renting out your house. Remember you speaking before with...
I give away a lot of my house even for free. And what happens is I asked them, what's going on? They said, well, we're understaffed. I said, make a little less money. Don't live in a 10,000 square foot mansion. You don't need a private airplane. You know, all those people, by the way, who fly those private airplanes, who scream about, like Leonardo, what's his name, DiCaprio.
Al Gore.
Oh, right. Climate change. It's a lie. There's no climate change problems. If you want climate change, why are you taking private airplanes?
They're the ones that contributed more than anybody else.
Right. They're making us go green, but they're not going green. That's my problem. And again, when they start cheating my fellow man and taking away his 20, 30 grand, maybe you guys think it's not a lot of money, but when you're selling your house and you have a mortgage, and that's where your little profit is a little extra to hide away in your savings account.
Look, if your profit's 100,000, you lost 30,000. Right. That's a big deal.
And you have no choice. You're being blackmailed, or you back out of the sale. But now you have to find another broker, pay another 6 months of mortgage, and boom, you've already emptied out your tenants and you're screwed. So I don't like that. I had a big landlord that came to me. I said, I don't like the way you do business. I don't want to help you. One of my clients who rented from him, I had no choice but to help. So when the big landlord came back to me with his managing agent, I said, I'm not helping.
Heshy, you know what you sound like? You sound like the old Help Me Howard shows on WPIX. What do you help me, Heshy? You go everywhere.
That's right. I am. Like yesterday, I went to Jersey. I'm going back. Tonight, I went on my way here. My producer was screaming at me while I was late because I stopped off at an engagement party for a special friend. I make it my business from morning to night to serve my community. And yes, I do make money, and I do help people, but I teach them how to help themselves. And this is my point. Try not to screw the fellow man. Try to make the deal work. Make a little bit less, but make money. Nobody's asking you not to make money or give away your stuff, but make a little bit less. And that's my problem. War is climate change. And the truth of the matter is, that stupid war. You know, I went to you remember our guest?
Yes, Diane, our next senator.
So she had. I don't know, against Schumer, but she had an event in the city that was against the Ukrainian war.
Yes, we spoke about it here last week.
And I was there, and people came out. A few hundred people came out.
Yes, I heard big things
and they're
about
telling you the stuff that I was learning over there. It's a wasted war. People are dying. There's no reason for this war. It's something.
Well, it's like the old song, war isn't good for anybody. Absolutely nothing.
Right. Oh, and they're saying, you know, the planet's population quadrupled. So the planet's quadrupled. Climate change is not, you know, they told us in the 70s that all the ice caps were going to melt. You know what I mean? They told us in the 80s that all the oil is going to run out. They told us in the 90s that the ozone layer was going to burn us and kill us. You know that?
Yes, I remember.
Now we're already in 2023. 50 years later, the ozone hasn't collapsed. It's gotten
stronger. And then everybody
stronger.
was saying, "Oh, July was the hottest month on record.
Right.
We're all going to burn."
So much. We have so much oil. We have so much natural gas that's not even being tapped in. We know how to do solar energy and wind energy. Everything is going. They just want to mess us up, and it's. I don't understand it. How us people are stupid and we're falling for it.
Because people are very just in their own abyss. You know, but that's the problem.
It doesn't make sense because when they lock you down again or take away your privileges.
We talked about COVID COVID's back. It's coming.
I'm never going to let it come back, but they'll find something else, or they tricked us while we weren't looking. I'm sure. I know a bunch of laws that were implemented while we weren't looking. Forget the camera.
Listen, nobody fought against COVID and those mandates like you, Heshy. It was Heshy and you and Larry Sharp.
And I'm still fighting against the new laws, the tax rates, the camera installations, just stupid things with.
Well, I think what it comes down to though is that.
The cashless bail.
Yes,
they snuck that in.
Here's what it comes down to. I agree with you on all these things, but I think in New York, people are voting, but they're voting with their feet. They're leaving the city, and that's the problem, is that these things are going to continue.
That's what Katzmatiyah said yesterday. Well, I can't buy in New York. So Mr. Eichenstein asked him, what are you going to do? He says, find something cheap and broken and fix it. No, why can't we find something good and move into a nice home, move into a nice apartment? Because if you find something broken and want to fix it in New York City, I'm telling you right now, as an expert in the real estate business for 30 years, expedited architect, the city of New York will not let you fix that place for at least 90 days to a year and maybe longer. And you'll never sign off the job and you'll never be able to move in and you're going to lose your house and you're going to
But this goes to the point, Heshy. They said, I don't want to deal with this stuff. I don't want to be bothered with it. That's why I'm leaving the city. The sale signs are everywhere.
I have
Heshy.
a wonderful man that helps special needs kids, and he put away money to buy a house in Flatbush on East 22nd Street.
Okay.
And you should have seen it. The house was crappy, and he fixed it up. It took him a few months, but the city tortured him. And finally, he came to me, and I helped him get to the finish line. 2 years later, and his mother-in-law called me, please get them out of my house. I swear to you. Because they had 5 kids making
I can picture that house on East 22nd. Those old houses over there, sure.
And finally, he finishes the house. He's ready to move in. He's broke. He's broke, and it's beautiful. You should have seen the work he did. Finally, some guy came over to him, I want to buy your house. He's so desperate, he's selling his house, the house of his dream to move into. He says, I'm going to move to Jersey. And I said, really? You worked so hard. I was there the last 2 years. I'm ashamed. I don't want him to sell it.
But this is what people are doing left and right. They're doing it whether it's in Flatbush, Midwood, Borough Park, Marine
And you're letting
Park,
these big
Bensonhurst.
real estate and landlords take away property, and he had to give it at a discount. At a discount.
But that's what the mayor wants. The mayor wants to gobble properties up so he can build the monstrosity skyscrapers and put all these projects, and that's the whole point.
Our courts are bothering us. Our government agencies are giving red tape. They're torturing us. And yeah, I can fight for myself. I will win. I win my battles. I even win for so many different people. But we're losing, and I'm asking to join together to stand up. Who's on the phone? Is Lenny on the phone? Lenny, where are you, Lenny? I don't hear Lenny. Where's Lenny?
I'm on the phone.
Lenny, please explain to me.
I say hello to you two guys, and then I want to go into my rant.
But Lenny, before you rant, I really did. I did not believe about the $12 billion he told me till you today texted me and shocked me because I didn't believe you, Lenny. And then you put me on the phone. It's not possible, Lenny.
Listen to Channel 2 News. That's what Channel 2 News was saying. So before any of the listeners say I'm just making this up, that was according to Channel 2 News. Now I'm going to go into my rant.
One minute, Lenny. Where we getting this money from, Lenny? By the way, do you know?
Well, let me start with this first. I commend the cops for doing a great job Friday in Union Square. They were fantastic. Yes. But where does this piece of garbage mayor come off and blame the parents of these kids? It's summertime. There are no after-school activities for these young people. When I was a kid, they used to have the schools open. We used to go play knock hockey, stickball, whatever. They don't exist anymore.
Right.
So where do you want these kids to go?
And Lenny, and by the way, my son's mother-in-law started a program now to create aftercare programs for a lot of the girls' schools to try to keep the girls off the streets. And it's starting to spread. She's raising money. But again, why does it have to come from the private sector when the city is responsible for this?
Especially with a $111+ million budget.
The city's not going to give money for that. They got to give the money for the migrants. But let me finish. He has the audacity to blame the parents of these so-called children. I don't call them children. I call them animals. Yeah. Okay? Second of all, he's almost crying on the TV about the migrants. You two guys know as well as your audience, wasn't he the man months ago, a year ago, whatever like that, says, come to New York. We'll take you. You know what? Yep. They came. $12 billion. What the?
And it's going to be more. It's going to be more eventually.
2,500, is it a week or a day that is coming into it?
They're coming coming every day.
Right. So, but what's the number? 2,500 a day or 2,500 a week? I think it is. Where is it? 25 migrants a week. 25 migrants a week are arriving in New York City.
Does it really make a difference if it's a week or a day?
Yeah, I'll tell you it does, because we now have 95,000 migrants, and by the end of the year, we're going to have another 50,000 at this number.
Remember, the winter's coming too, Heshy.
And the winter's coming. I don't know what to tell you.
They're throwing the old people out of the nursing home on Border Capitano Boulevard in Staten Island. There's supposed to be some kind of big rally there
Saturday
at 10:30. They're throwing them out to put migrants in. We're Americans.
And the mayor said basically, we all have to do more as New Yorkers. We all have to do more.
Mr. Mayor, why don't you shut your mouth? And anybody out here, whether you're people of color, whether you're Democrats, Republicans, stop voting for these morons. They stand up and they give away the store. So you take that. Oh, well, let's vote Democrat. They're going to give us away the store. How do you put
It's not giving. You see, that's where you're, Lenny, you're lost. They're not giving away the store on purpose. They're giving away the store so they can take some for themselves, and this way you don't notice what's going on the side. You don't know what they're doing on the side.
My point is this: how does all this money that they're giving away, taken, whatever like that, how do you put a price on a life? Because if you notice something, with all these changes that Mr. Mayor said that he's going to get rid of the crackers in the NYPD, and that's a fact. You could go on YouTube and you could look at that. He was talking to some people, wherever it was, and said they're nothing but crackers in the NYPD. So he's firing all these chiefs. Wait a minute. What is firing all the white chiefs going to do to bring down the crime?
So I'm going to explain. Let me explain it to you. There's a rule in New York City that if you become a politician and you're in office for at least 2 to 4 years, you automatically qualify for a $250,000 pension. Now, so unless you get hold on.
Inspector in charge of his detail lost his pension today because he was convicted of 2 felonies.
Correct. Now, if you get fired, hold on. If you get fired,
his pension, why is de Blasio going to collect the pension?
Right, because de Blasio served his 8 years in office and advocate.
And Redmond served over 20.
Yeah.
And Redmond served over 20.
Right.
So if Redmond, who is an employee of the city of New York, is going to be penalized and his pension is taken away, Mayor de Blasio, who was a worker for the city of New York, take his pension away.
You know that's never going to happen, though, Lenny.
Yeah, you know
it's
that
never
you can
happening.
scream and holler as much as you want.
Well, I'm a voter, you're a voter. Why don't we have to say so?
Because we don't put the right people. And you know what? And I want to tell you something. I like your little girlfriend from Staten Island, Vicky Palladino, right? But when she promised to go in and make changes, she promised. And now she's playing the game with the Democrats. Yeah, she went to Rikers Island with the caucus. What's that caucus
The
called?
Common Sense
The
Caucus,
Common
they
Sense
called
Caucus. But she's been playing the game with the Democrats so she can move up in the ranks. And I thought Vicky Palladino was a fighter, but she's not. She ended up switching sides or giving in to the other side. And I'm shocked because I'm very impressed. I was impressed with her. I thought she was one of us, that she's like me, a fighter. And everybody's telling me, look, if Vicky gives in, you for sure are going to break like them. So we're not voting for you.
I don't want to go into things that maybe shines a bad light on you, your guest last week. I couldn't decide what side she's on. She was talking one way, and out of the other side of her mouth, she's going the other way. At one point, you said, Lenny, give her a chance or whatever like that. I don't want to give anybody that's going into politics a chance. Don't tell us the we word. We have to. No, you're in politics.
You got to tell your neighbors, Lenny. You got to tell your friends. You got to get out there, get off your butt. You're calling us, which is great. I don't see you here in this office. I don't see you here knocking on doors, making phone calls for us. You got to get out there. You got to get out there.
Get over here and help me make phone calls, you son of a bum. I love you, Lenny. Don't worry about it, Lenny.
Let me tell you something. Everybody that I turn on to this show, it tells me the next day I'm going to have a nervous breakdown because I'm speaking the truth.
You are.
People, if they're fed up. I agree with you on that, Lenny. People are just, they're apathetic. That's the problem. Apathy runs so high, especially in this city. Like you said, Lenny, all the stuff you said, 100% true. But the problem is people are just...
And the problem is when they get in trouble, they come to you, and sometimes you can't fix their problems because they think they're smarter. And I tell them, I said, listen, I can't help you anymore because I used to be able to fight the laws. Now the city, without our permission, the city changes laws on us, and they tell me, go sue me, go file an Article 78. And when you sue the city, forget to have 10 lawyers. Till you get to court is another 2 or 3 years.
They need the money. Heshy, they need the money. They're going to penalize you. They're going to penalize your listeners. They're going to penalize me. They need this money. Say it again. The both of you, $12 billion.
It's going to be more. I think it's going to be more eventually.
It's going to be more. That's this year, Lenny. That's this year.
Let me ask you this. If he runs tomorrow, would he get in office again, Adams?
In a landslide.
Yeah,
In a landslide.
yeah, because
Because the dumb way that these people think, okay? I've said it before on your show, and I'll say it again. There's a black family that lives on Crook Avenue and Ocean Avenue. She may work in a bank. He may work for Con Edison. They might have young children, okay? They have to worry when they come home if their young children might be shot by a stray bullet.
Right.
Because it's happening out here in Staten Island,
Yep.
so you can't say any neighborhood.
But we had it here right by our office,
yeah,
62nd Street and 20th
Forget
Avenue.
62nd Street. On Avenue P, 1 minute. Hold on. Last week, 1 minute. Yeah, and last week in my neighborhood, on Thursday at a gas station, he was gay, a young man,
Road, right?
and they
Dale
just shot him. They just shot him for no reason. They stabbed him, shot. He's dead. A young man is dead for no reason. No reason.
Island Avenue and Avenue P.
Right.
Okay? So it's not in East New York anymore.
No.
It's not in Brownsville.
The good neighborhoods aren't the good neighborhoods anymore. as
They're
you
coming.
would
We're
say.
trying. In this neighborhood, we're protecting ourselves but still they're getting in. They're robbing our stores.
You got Bragg. You got Bragg and another boroughs.
You can blame Bragg. You can blame the police. You can blame anybody you want. The only 1 minute, Lenny. The only person I blame is people who are in government who are incompetent that are not overseeing. They're letting the commissioners do whatever they want. They're letting the chiefs. 1 minute, Lenny. They're letting the chiefs do whatever they want. They're letting the commissioners. They're letting them create their own laws, their own regulations, and then the city gets to vote on it. These councilmen, because they want, the more laws that they pass, the more regulations.
It's just like one of our Instagram fans just said right now, moving to Long Island. You guys are right about everyone. Everyone in Middle Village, Queens is moving. And I hear this all the time from people.
I want to ask you something now. There's rumors going around, and I talk to everybody. There's rumors going around that Chief Kemper, who I worked with in the 7-0 as a sergeant, he was there, okay? They might be looking at him because he's on the video where the kid goes through the back window of the taxi cab. Now, they pushed him to get handcuffed on or whatever, and subsequently, I think it was the kid's hand that hit the windshield, but now they're looking at that. You know what my father used to tell me as I was a kid? You didn't belong there. And that's what this country is going away from.
Right.
You didn't belong there.
I know that police officer. He is a good man. I personally don't really speak to him.
He was head of Brooklyn South.
Right, and we're gonna screw this
I don't
man.
know this for a fact, but that's what the rumor is.
Yeah.
That they're supposedly looking failure to supervise. Are you out of your mind?
Right.
You had how many thousands of kids on top of the train?
But I'll tell. But Lenny, you don't. Lenny,
You're going to blame the police?
Lenny, you don't understand. By blaming the police, now the government will come up with another 20. Remember how we had to pay the Black Lives Matter protesters money?
Instant millionaires. These kids will be driving Lamborghinis.
Right, they're going to be getting $60,000, $100,000 a piece for having a protest.
But you know what? You know what people fail to realize? We, the taxpayer, it's our money.
It's out, but Lenny, you keep harping on the money, which is good, but I'm harping on my rights that they're taking away my. You know what the Constitution, the most important words before we lose our. Lenny, we're going to lose.
that.
Lenny,
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Lenny,
and
we're going to
losing
lose
all
our
of it, Lenny.
audience on the radio shows. I just want to say this before we lose them. There's one most important word. What is it?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of
Life,
happiness.
liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, pursuit of happiness is not really anything. So our Constitution, our forefathers says, we want you to have a right to pursue happiness. What is pursuing happiness? To leave me alone to pursue it my own way.
You ain't getting it in New York.
We're
That's
not
the
getting
bottom
it in New
line.
York.
And obviously,
They are
WSNR,
taking- and that's my
1640,
point.
93.5 FM. Want to thank you. Obviously, want to make sure that we can talk with
Yeah,
you next
listeners from WSNR 1640
week. WJPR 93.5 WVIP.
Thank you for tuning in. Come back again next week. I'm hoping that you maybe understand that I want you to have a good week. I want you to pursue your happiness. I want Lenny to pursue his happiness. And I don't want Lenny, to take away my rights, because when I go home at night, I hear people calling me, Heshy, they're taking away my rights. They're making me go back to court. I'm scared I'm going to jail. Anyways, Lenny, I want to pursue. That's the most important thing. People believe, like I had a fire chief telling me, well, screw the Constitution, screw those rules. You're making that up. You're abusing it. I don't abuse my Constitution. I don't abuse it. I believe it's most important, and I'm not letting this mayor take away my rights. He can try to arrest me again. He can try to come after me, but I think I'm well prepared.
Here's another issue that you brought up about the police. Not you, but what do they want from the police officers today? Anything that they do, they're getting arrested for. I told you on the show last week, the cop in Manhattan in an Apple store, the guy was running away, he punched him, and he was arrested. He's being brought up on charges. The cop in Staten Island responded to the school and the bus stop. The girl says on Channel 7 News, yeah, I punched the cop 3 times in the face. He was suspended. So I go to work now. I'm a police officer. I go to work. I'm in that police car. Something happens. Cameras all over. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but show the whole picture. Don't show him. Right. That's what the news is showing.
I'm so sorry, Lenny.
They have an agenda, and that's
Lenny,
what they want.
Just like they learned how to beat us in the courts, they learned how to beat the cops. And the city teaches there. You know what upsets me? They hire incompetent inspectors. They teach them the letter of the law, and they tell them, listen, you haven't worked in the field. You're not qualified to be a contractor, but we're going to make you an inspector. These guys should follow the same laws like the cops. You start at the bottom, you work your way up, and you have no right to do anything. We have inspectors and people in government agencies that have never
Just
done
like when
a
we
budget.
had Daniel Holkauer on, the sanitation guy who was working his way up and loses his job with COVID. And, again, at the end of the day, if you're a cop, basically what you're saying is don't do nothing. Just sit there.
I'm
Sit in the cop car.
helping a young guy, a doctor who lost his job because of COVID, that he wouldn't follow the restrictions. I'm helping a guy to get a job in another hospital because they won't hire him and he's blacklisted. And I have to beg his way, and he's going to start again from the bottom like a resident.
Heshy, before I get cut off, you say about COVID. Now, the city laid off cops, firemen, EMS, school teachers, whatever, for not taking the shot. We're letting thousands and thousands of people come into this country. Who knows what kind of germs that they're bringing? You can't bring in a piece of food from Israel, Italy, Ireland. You can't get a piece of fruit into this country, but these human beings are coming in with God knows what the hell kind of diseases.
And we're giving them, and Lenny, they're sleeping on the sidewalk. They're sleeping on sidewalks where people spit, take leaks. Dogs go. They're sleeping on this. I swear to you, on my video, they're sleeping on the sidewalk like animals. And I can't believe it that we're giving them a mask and we're buying them pizza. They think that's acceptable. Lenny, you've been.
While they're sleeping on the sidewalk, where's Adams?
Right.
He's partying somewhere probably right now as we speak.
I saw he has a new jacket, very beautiful jacket. I'm jealous. I'm going to try. Lenny, if I steal that jacket, I'm going to steal it. I know I'll go to jail, but I think it's worth it for the jacket. Lenny, you've been wonderful again. Thank you for joining the show, Lenny. Thank you for your insights. And I hope that you and me will keep fighting to the last day. Thank you for everything, Lenny. You're a good man.
Get through to people.
Amen to that,
I know,
Len.
I know,
See you
Lenny.
next week.
Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, and to my listening audience out there,
And
Tom.
Heshy, big plug, by the way. Got to plug next week's show because we're gonna get away a little bit from this stuff. We have a Hollywood hypnosis, Kevin Stone.
Right. Next week, we're going to talk politics. We're going to have this Hollywood hypnosis guy on the show. I don't think he can hypnotize me because I'm so.
I want to know what he thinks about Tom Cruise. I want to know what he thinks right now about, Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. Because I'm a movie guy. We talk about the movies all the time.
We're gonna have fun next week with him. We're gonna have a fun show, and then we're gonna be coming into Labor Day, which is my 33rd anniversary. I promised Linda I would take her on a cruise, but we're scared of boats.
Especially with COVID now.
No. Right, with COVID. I was watching a movie how one of these boats crashed, and these people got on. I don't know. They were stuck in the ocean, and the sharks coming after them. Me and Linda are scared of
That's
that.
the beginning of Mission Impossible.
By the way, I am going to the movies. Linda doesn't want to come, so me and Tom are going to Mission Impossible. He's going to come see it for the 4th time, and he's not going to tell me what went on. So I'm going to tell you the day me and Tom are coming, and you're welcome to join us. Thank you for listening to the show.
Thank
love
everybody.
all of you. Come back next
See you
week,
next
Wednesday.
week.
I hope you come back.
I
next
hope
week.
to be here. I hope
Well,
you
you
haven't
got
fired
to
me
play
yet.
that music, my
Dun, dun,
beautiful.
dun.